Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new edition of Four Friends in the Book podcast. My name is Chris Colston, and I'm here with my friends Isaiah Tukes, Kimberly Lake, Laria Reed, and this book for the month of April, Balance by Mr. Toure Roberts. Good book. And we know Toure Roberts. I mean, he's a pastor, entrepreneur, just ministry leader, author. I actually read a previous book from him, Wholeness. So this is his third book. And so yeah, we're gonna get into it this month. We're gonna check it out. If you're new to the channel, if you're unfamiliar with Four Friends in a Book, we are a monthly podcast series where we have a discussion centered around a book. And so we meet here to discuss that book, to talk about it, to review it, and also just have table talk amongst friends. I mean, we catch up with each other, talk about things that may or may not relate to the book as well. So again, somewhat of a book club, book review mixed with just table talk amongst us. And of course, at the end, it wouldn't be a show without it. Mr. Rant Man himself, Mr. Isaiah 2, closes the show out with his rant, where we give him 60 seconds just to kind of talk and speak freely from his heart. So again, if you guys haven't already, please go back, check out some old episodes, get caught up and current before Friends of the Book. And also, tell a friend, tell them about us. Again, we read good books, but we also have great discussions over here, and want you guys to be a part of that. So leave us a review, some good feedback, any book recommendations you may have, all that good stuff. Just hit us up on all social media outlets. We would love to hear from you. All right. So again, we're in the month of April. Man, I'm telling you, man, these months are really just flying by. It's
They're
crazy.
rolling. They're rolling.
And so this month we are trying to find some balance. So again, the book for the month of April is Balance by Toure Roberts. As I kind of mentioned on the intro, we have read a previous book from him, Wholeness, here on Four Friends in the Book. So we back. We're back with Balance this time, trying to get caught up and current, trying to fix our lives professionally and personally, trying to find this balance thing. And so, look, it wouldn't be me if I didn't do it. I got to open up the show with a quote. So, quote Mr. Toure Roberts. I think this is very kind of uh, really kind of summed up the book itself, because we talk about balance. I mean, it could be very subjective, but it's kind of a summary he had, something I kind of pulled from his book. He says, balance is a place within you, not a discipline, a self improvement plan, activity, or an exercise. It's not a physical place, but a spiritual one, the atmosphere which causes everything dark to fade, allowing the higher version of ourselves to emerge. So, again, kind of laying the groundwork and the foundation of what balance is, that it's not a physical place, but really just finding a spiritual place within yourself, and trying to come to emerge out of darkness into balance. So let's get into it. Let's unpack it. Let's discuss this book. Y'all already know what it is. Um, if you had to rate this book on a scale of 1 to 10, what would that be? And also, just kind of what did you feel about this book overall? Again, we're reading Balance by Mr. Toure Roberts. And so, Miss Laria Reed, coming to you
Yes.
first to open this book up. First of all, do you feel balanced?
I do. Sometimes it just depends on the day.
Okay. Okay. So
It
yeah,
just
what did you think?
depends on the day.
What did you think about this book? And if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would that be?
Well, I enjoyed his book. I enjoy reading the way he writes. One thing that I like about Tory Roberts is he's practical, but he still gives you the depth and the deep. This book to me was much deeper than his last one. I was listening to him and I kept going because I did it on Audible, and I would go back and rehear what he said because some of that stuff was really deep and it was good though. It made you think where you just needed to sit in it for a minute if you're really trying to change your life. And I believe it's a great self-help book as far as the overall of balance and what we think it is, because it's always like, well, how do you balance the kids and the job and all, but he goes deeper into you as a person, because I hadn't heard anybody talk about balance from your family of origin, different things that have happened to you in your past, and how that affects how you perceive things and how you view yourself for balance. So I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it. I like a good cool nerd book. And I felt like that's what it was. I was like, okay, I'm enjoying the nerdiness of this. This is good. This is like, he articulated it well. I enjoyed it. I got a lot from it. It helped me reflect on my own life, and where I am and what I can do for myself to balance. So I will give it an 8. I will give it a solid 8. It was good. It was a good book.
Okay, Laria Reed then found some balance and opening up with the 8 to kick this review off. Okay. So coming to my brother Isaiah Toops, man, how did you feel about this book?
You
Look,
already took
also,
it.
are you
Already
feeling
laughing.
balanced right now? Are you balanced, man? You good?
I am balanced. I said on the last episode I needed some balance, so this was like the perfect book I needed to get some practical skills to go into. I really enjoyed the book by PT. My biggest takeaway and aha moment was like realizing that it's a pecking order to this situation. First is you have to realize that God is the head of everything. Which this book is not really spiritual. He gets more practical, but he does get really really spiritual where your foundation needs to come from. Then we start to balance with ourselves, then our family, and whatever we want to then fit in. I always think that like prioritization is like the key to making anything successful. And just taking time, to take some time into yourself. And that's just like the biggest thing as well as to me. Like, sometimes we need to pour into ourselves. And I learned so many lessons, even, some new tools about how to actually live a balanced life. But one of the main things that actually stuck out me was the emphasis on like how not to be selfish. Being selfish with yourself. We learn of growing up, you don't want to be selfish. You want to always make sure that other people are taken good care of. But what is somebody being good if you're empty on the inside? And I'm going to go into that deeper as we talk about into this podcast. Overall, it was a really good book. I actually left with some good tools. I'm also like Larry, I will rate this book an 8 as well too. This is really a good read. I suggest anyone to actually read this book.
Okay, so starting out with two eights, and again, the word practical is coming up. So we're seeing a little trend here amongst four friends in the book. Practical and the number 8. I don't know what that's all about, but we're gonna keep it moving. So coming to Miss Kimberly Lake next. What are your look? Are you balanced right now? And also, what would you rate this book, and how did you feel about it overall?
So right now, no. But
Okay,
as he said, we're all working towards that. Okay. I did enjoy the book. I wasn't like really wowed or inspired by it. I actually do prefer his first book to this one.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was listening to it, sometimes like my mind would kind of go off a little bit and come back. I think it's a great, like if I was on a road trip or something and popped it in, I think it's real good motivational, inspirational kind of book. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, it didn't make me go like deep inside myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I think it's pretty good. Plus, I was kind of comparing it to the mental health, the book we just read.
Oh, unapologetic guide to mental health.
Yes, there we go.
yeah,
So I like my mind was kind of compared because it's kind of like the same kind
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
That's true.
tips kind of thing. So I kind of was like preferring what she wrote.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's a good book. But for me, I would rate it a 7. Like for me, where I'm at right now in my life with balance, it would be a 7. And yeah, I think it's good. It's a good book to listen to. But I just think it was kind of that's the word I'm looking for. Redundant to me a
okay,
little bit because of the other book we read. So maybe if I didn't read her book,
Yeah.
so it just kind of felt like, oh, I kind of like heard this a little bit, but I think it's still a good book, and he narrated great and all that. As Isaiah says, we love you, PT. So no offense,
PT.
but yeah, I give it a 7, and I recommend people listen to it.
okay. So we got two eights and a 7 for this book, Balance
Can
by
I
Toure Roberts
can I
or
say something?
PT. Go ahead, man. Jump in there.
I was like Kim as well too. Like I kept comparing this book to Wholeness as well. I think Wholeness was an overall good book, and we all actually read that book last season as well too. But he just went so spiritual deeply into wholeness, and I thought he was going to go that route as well too with balance. But balance is more like practical everyday issues, and
Hmm.
and I wanted like the foundation of how to balance myself of the spirituality, but he didn't really go that deep into how balance was like wholeness. I'm like Kim, I kept trying to compare it to his last read as well too, so I was doing it too.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think that's a good point. I think we're kind of all creatures of habit, and I think I might have fallen victim to that as well. Because as Kim stated, this book didn't really do it for me, man. So I had the book. I was turning the pages. I was going through it, but it just kind of felt like a almost like an exercise. I mean, I was reading it, the information was solid, but it didn't really resonate with me very much. As I mentioned starting the show, so this is his third book. And so we read Wholeness here on Four Friends in a Book, and so we're now reading this book. And I really enjoyed Wholeness. So I was actually looking forward to this book coming into it, but I just didn't get it, man. Look, I'm sorry. So I think I'm becoming a new Isaiah because
What?
y'all kind of in the fold with these eights and the sevens.
Oh
If I
God,
had to
not
rate
again.
it,
Not
I think
again.
I'm gonna have to give it like a five. I just
Oh.
Because
it was
Whoa.
it wasn't a bad book. I think it was
No,
well written,
no, boy,
but it
PT.
just didn't really resonate with me at all. It was practical, but I think some of the things were, I don't want to say common sense, but just kind of, I guess at least things that I was already kind of aware of, and things that
Mm-hmm.
I had kind of already put in place for my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really leave with any like wow, aha
Mm-hmm.
moments, anything to that sort. So like I said, it was okay. And like you guys said, maybe because we are coming off of this, mental health read with like the Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health by Dr. Rita Walker, which is our previous book. Maybe that kind of laid the foundation, and we were maybe expecting something completely different. I don't know, but at least for me, it didn't really do it. So all I got is the five fingers over here. But
what?
it was a good. It was still good. Very practical. So again, if this is something that you guys that are listening or to the show now, I mean, if this is an area that you need improvement on, I think
Mm-hmm.
there are some skills here that can be kind of gleaned from. Just for me personally, and I think I'm kind of in a balanced mind state, and I think I've kind of put some
Mm-hmm.
work in to kind of maintain it. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I didn't really get a lot from this book, so that's why I'm giving it a five. But you know,
Gotcha.
it
Mm-hmm.
is what it is. But kind of speaking from that, so you guys have kind of all touched on it, and we've kind of talked about it. So let's go a little deeper. I think practical is a very fitting word to kind of describe this book and kind of what's been uncovered here. So, were there any advice or the practicality that was presented here? Did it challenge your thoughts of what you may have preconceived notion about balance, or did you guys maybe not agree with what was kind of presented in terms of like what balance is to you, or even what balance is as kind of outlined by Toure Roberts in this book, Balance. And so, come on to my brother Isaiah, man, on this one. Yeah, what does balance like personally mean to you? And was that ideal kind of reinforced with this book, or was something in this book kind of just totally different from your mindset or thought about what balance is overall?
And I don't want to say I learned a lot basically based on what I'm about to say is, but he made me more comfortable with saying no and setting boundaries with people. And you
You
have to
already
have
got those,
I
brother.
was like, not Isaiah.
You are strong in that no.
Look,
and,
he got a
and
new no now.
And he
So look,
got another no. I'm like, good God.
An
another,
elevated no.
another no. And I'm on the journey of like setting boundaries, and I have to keep with those boundaries. Like, no, it's some stuff that you cannot cross. And when I say no, I actually mean no, and no comes with a period at the end, not a comma mean I'm gonna get to it later. Mean like no, like you got to figure it out like yourselves. And you just sometimes you got to remember like your limits, and don't hesitate to actually say no when you just sometimes you feel overwhelmed, and people don't understand like the pressures that comes with life. And sometimes when you get home yourself, like you're overwhelmed and you just fall into pieces, and they just realize they see this happy-go-lucky spirit. They just want to just keep pour on me. keep pouring on you. But like no, sometimes I get tired as well too. So like I had to learn that like it's okay to say no. It's okay to be selfish with your time. Like, and I understand that some people that they have boundaries with themselves, but then they'll cross shores. I'm like, that's contradictory. Like, if I'm respecting your boundaries, the only thing I ask you to respect is mine as well too. And I think like boundaries are really essentials, and people like will push against those. And that's something I had in the back of my mind. But reading this book, he made it aware of it's okay to say no. It's okay to be selfish with your time. It's okay to say like when you say no, you put a period on it and then be done with it. So I know I can say no previously in my last statement, but he made it okay that I actually can say no and feel comfortable with that no.
Okay, so you got a newfound comfort in your no.
And in my no.
Okay, that's good. Kim, coming to you. So, just on a personal level, like, what does balance mean to you? And also, as you were reading or listening to this book, did that concept evolve or change? Or, like I said, was there something that Touré kind of presented here that you really didn't agree with in terms of what you feel balance is or should be in your own personal life?
I think, I think Laria said it earlier, balance just in my whole life is more like I've learned about, balancing work life, home life. If you're a mom, balancing time with the kid, like just balancing your time in general. So I do like how he presented it more as balancing as the individual, like yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing like your time, your needs, all of that, and then going outward instead of coming out to into out balance. So I did like
Mm-hmm.
that aspect. Yeah. So I think he did kind of change my. He gave me a different view of balance. Um, do I don't know if it, like I said, it was like life changing or anything like that, but I do like his unique spin on making balance like an inward job first and then outwardly going to balance everything else. So
Yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
I think for me, I think at least me personally, like when you think about balance, I do think of it kind of as an activity. And so even the opening quote I read where he's saying like it's not an activity, it's not an exercise, but it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of a spiritual place. I think that was kind of new for me because I have always kind of thought of to find balance, there's certain things you have to do, there's certain activities, there's certain kind of I guess concepts you have to kind of put into place. So that was kind of new to me. But I do agree, like it is a spiritual place. It is a place of kind of being at peace or at ease with yourself. And I feel like it was a continuation of his previous book, Wholeness, where he really kind of to Kim's point, like there was a lot of emphasis and focus on like you as a person,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the responsibility or onus that you have as an individual to put certain things into place or into practice before you then, you know, go out and interact with other people and then put these expectations on them. So I definitely agree with that concept, that notion of balance. But yeah, I think I have always kind of viewed it as like there's certain things you have to do to ensure that you have a balanced life. And so kind of hearing his perspective on that was kind of eye opening for me and a little different from what I went into the thought of what balance or having a balanced life is for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
coming to Miss Reed next. Like what is your I guess ideal of balance or what does balance mean
Mhm.
to you, and also was that reinforced by reading this book, or was it something new that you know didn't know about that was kind of enlightening as you were reading this book, Balance by Mr. Toure Roberts?
Okay, so one thing that I really enjoyed him talking about was um, capacity for different people. So what looks like balance to me may not be your life. And I know we have like a tendency of being like, oh my God, you're doing a lot of you got a lot going on or whatever. But it may be the capacity of that person. They're able to handle a lot more than another person. So my balance is going to look different from yours. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we allow other people to influence what our balance is. Like for you, you may want to travel once a month or something. It's like, you always gone. You should, it'll make you, if you're not secure, you'll say, you know what? Am I always gone? Like, am I doing too much? But
Mm-hmm.
your level of how much you can handle may be large. So, you know, it made me, that was something for me because I have a high capacity to do a lot of different things. and I have my rotation of how I get them done. But for another person, when they see it's like, God, you doing this, and you do, like that's a lot. How are you? And it's like, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's my capacity of what I can do. So, so I can't compare what I do to somebody else's capacity because there are people that do way more than I do. So I can't look at
Yeah.
them and say, oh my God, they got to be exhausted when they may not be. That's just what God gifted them to do. So that was one thing that really well, it wasn't a reinforcement, it was a different way to look at it. And the other thing I felt convicted about was the negative self-talk, because he talked about how that plays a part in how you view yourself and how you view your life to balance things out. And I was like, man, because when you've done certain things and it didn't work out, or if you've experienced something and something happened, and it could be something as early as you being 8 or 9 years old, and you
Mhm.
say, you know what, I'm not doing that no more, blah 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 blah
Mm,
blah, and then
mm-hmm.
you mess up your entire life of the way that you should be going to balance
Mm-hmm.
because you still got those things that have happened previously. So you talk negative to yourself and talk yourself out of doing things that could help your balance. So, you may say, for an example, one of the things I saw, like just say you got hurt playing basketball, but you love basketball. So instead of just doing it in a different way or just
Mm-hmm.
going shooting free throws or, not playing a pickup game, you just cut it out completely. I ain't never going back out there no more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the negative self talk, which doesn't help you in your life because it's something that you really love to do. So I felt like that was like another thing that I do to myself sometimes. So I enjoyed
Mm,
that part as well.
okay, that's good. Yeah, I think even your point about talking about your capacity,
I
and
like
that being
that.
an individual thing. Because yeah, I think that look, that'll preach right there, girl. That'll
I
preach.
like that. I got a high capacity.
Look,
Yeah, cause
that's what I got from the book. Maybe I should have explained the book to you, Chris, as I was reading it, so I could break it down.
yeah,
Now,
I
yeah,
like
that'll
that.
preach.
So,
so you can bring my boy numbers up.
Yeah, that'll preach. But yes, I think that is something we and I'm guilty of it. Like you see certain people and what they're doing, like, ah, man, you kind of busy. You might be doing too much,
Mhm.
but like, as you mentioned, like
I got a high
there just
capacity.
may be a different capacity
I
of
say,
I
yeah
I
like
say
I got a high capacity.
he got set
of
free.
what you're able to do. And
No.
we are trying to compare, our personal capacity
Yeah.
of what we
Uh-huh.
think balance is to someone else when again that could be apples to oranges and it's not the same thing. And so
Exactly.
yeah, that's a good point. Well, okay,
All right.
Dr. Reed over here. Look,
But that
breaking
helped
the
me though,
book.
for real, because sometimes I feel really like, oh my God, am I doing too much? Or am I,
Mm-mm.
because it's like, well, do I
Mm-mm.
I
need to
say,
rest more? Or how am I like, well,
mm-mm.
I am doing a lot, okay. But
Yeah.
comparing it to another person's life, yeah, it may be for them, but you have to know where, when you reach that top, you know.
Okay.
So,
That's good. So again, we've kind of just talked about it and hit on it. Again, a very good book, very practical. And look, the real pulling out stuff. I think I might have missed that one. So
I missed that capacity one too. What chapter?
Me too.
yeah,
when
What
I
chapter?
he mentioned it, and then he it was really quickly. You had to really, and I was like, "Whoa, hold on a minute!" And I went back and listened to it again. And I was like, that was good." So I was
Okay.
picking out things that helped me.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So look, she done schooled us some stuff. I need to go back and maybe reread some sections. But again, I think there's a lot of good information, a lot of resources to be gleaned. And I think as we talked about before, and even in his previous book, I mean, this is a journey. This is a continual process. Like, there's not like you just reach a certain level where you're good and everything is finished.
Mm-hmm.
As a
Mhm.
person, you're always growing, you're always stretching, you're always evolving, and so just having these tools in your toolkits is necessary. I mean,
It is.
even if you're not utilizing them right now, I mean, there will be a time or a place where having them at your disposal will be of the utmost importance, opposed to not having them and then going through the stress and trauma of trying to figure things
Mm-hmm.
out. Um, so given that, and Laria, look, you already kind of did it, but I'm gonna come to Kim on this topic to kind of pick your brain a little bit. But were there any particular, I guess, pieces of advice or insight that kind of stood out to you, that kind of really, I guess, kind of changed your perspective or even your notion of balance or just overall, just kind of something that may have helped you as you were reading or listening to this book, Balance by Mr. Toure. Excuse me, by Mr. Toure Roberts.
I would say two things stuck out to me. One, just with him, like Pastor Tori talking about his own life, he is
Mm-hmm.
very intentional with his time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that's something I can learn to be more intentional about, because I think it was like years ago, I heard a sermon with Tony Evans and he said, like, we be acting like time is just this free, like time really be moving and you really
It
don't
does.
know how much time you had. Like you could have
Mm-hmm.
5 more years left on earth and you just don't know, but we live our life like it's timeless. So I admire Touré that he was just really intentional, like with his day to day activities. He's like intentional with his time. And that's something I was like, I need to work on, because like time is flying. One,
It is.
and I don't know how much time I have left. So I need to make sure I'm, pursuing balance and doing what I need to do and know what I'm put here to do. So I thought that was good. And the second one was, I know the whole example about the motorcycle and how he was like,
Mhm.
me and Sarah, she's like gonna be on my back riding and we're gonna do this, but come to find out like that wasn't her thing. And I think sometimes I know I can have a vision of something and letting that vision go and just letting what is just actually be. So he had to say, like, she doesn't like riding on the motorcycle, so my wife ain't gonna be riding on the back and we riding down the highway. So he had to accept that, know that that was something just for him. And I think that's something we all can learn. But I know for myself, like just learning that you can have a vision of stuff, but like leave area because it might be different.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
good.
that's good. That's good. I think the two things that kind of stood out to me, and Isaiah kind of touched on them, the power of no. I think that is a very useful like ability to have. I think sometimes we kind of feel uncomfortable saying no, or
Mm-hmm.
also just get to a space where you're just so used to saying yes or agreeing to things that you don't want to do, and just really almost kind of getting yourself in situations that probably aren't the best for you because there's a fear of
Mm-hmm.
saying no. And so that was one of the things that kind of again I don't know if my no is strong as Isaiah, but I got a pretty strong no as well, and so I think, but it did reinforce that it's okay. I
Hmm.
think sometimes even personally, I may
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm being selfish about certain things, but I always kind of preach like if you're not good, if you're not whole yourself, if you're not in a good position, you can't be of service and aid of others. And so sometimes to get to that space, like you have to have those no moments where you can kind of go off and do whatever you need to do to restore yourself to a space
Mm-hmm.
where you can then
That's
pour
true.
into others. And so I thought that was a good concept that was really brought out and kind of expanded through this book. The other thing for me was I wrote it down. Yeah, there's no team and I. So kind of
Hmm.
along that same lane. And I just think it's important. Like I said, we've even reading his previous book, Wholeness, where there's a lot of emphasis on you as a person, as an individual, before you can then get into a relationship with this professional or personal or romantic or whatever it may be. But you have to be in a good space yourself, and so those aren't team activities all the time. I mean, those are things that you really need to have ironed out before you get into those situations, and so those aren't team sports. Like those are you sports. Those are I activities that have to be fleshed out. And also being comfortable with that. I mean, being in situations where you can navigate and move on your own. And also understanding that hey, you may have moments where you just need your alone time. Um, he's a motorcyclist. I am as well. So now I find peace in sometimes just get on the bike and ride. And I mean, that's kind of an outlet for me. And it's okay to build that into your schedule. It's okay to build those
Mm-hmm.
I moments into your life and not feel bad about it. So I think those were two kind of concepts that really were reinforced uh, and kind of confirmed with me by reading this book. So
Mm-hmm.
Laria, did you've kind of already hit on it some, but did you have any more? Look, did you have any more Jews? Look, I might have missed something else because you over here teaching and preaching. So
We need,
Okay,
we,
you,
we need, we need to talk
whatever.
about capacity.
yeah,
But I what you guys said really kind of too, because I was thinking about
Uh-huh.
that. No team and I, or yeah, no
Mm-hmm.
team and I, and
Mm-hmm.
about the time management, because that's something that I have to, and I think every day with balance. And what he was really saying was, for every 24 hours, it may be a different area of balance, but you've got to look at where you are, how you're feeling, and analyze things for each day versus, just I'm gonna wing it this week. Yeah, no, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do this. And then later you're like, man, I think I should have done that, or I shouldn't have done this. But actually, like, looking at things, and for myself, it helped me because I'm a yes person. And if you ask me to do something, especially if you're close to me, oh yeah, 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 I got you. And instead of me saying that, now my answer is, let me get back with you. Let me check my schedule. Let me make sure I'm clear. It sounds great, but let me just make sure. And that gives me my time to think,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to do this? Is this going to affect
Mhm.
me tomorrow? Because I know I got to do this I got to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So if I go to this party with y'all, and it's gonna be later when I get home and I'm older now. I can't just be jumping up
Yes.
ready to go. It just helps me to kind of navigate. So it's not always a no for me, but a let me get back to you and really analyze and see. And I felt like what he was saying in the book is, take your time, look at your life for every day, and then make decisions based off of that versus just being a blanket statement. I go to work from this time to this time, and because things pop up and things happen. So
That's true.
that was what
Right.
That's
I got
true.
from it.
That's very true.
That's good. That's good. All right, coming to my boy Isaiah, man. Did you have any more nuggets or just any things that really resonated with you as you were reading or listening to this book?
Well, I had two, and the first one I think I already been discussed, the power of no, chapter 6. I forgot what page number
Well, he down
that
to
it
the
was.
page. Check him out.
Page number.
I forgot what page number, and I learned as well too. Like even though when you can give somebody a no, I still want to come back and, well, let me show you how to actually figure out the situation, because I think what people don't want to understand is like the power of critical thinking and learning
Mm,
how to actually get through a situation. Like I think like when we get to like a roadblock or something, instead of learning how to climb up, we want to like scale back and try to let somebody else figure it out. And I think that's the difference between me and some other people. And I don't want to say I'm different than other ones, but like Laria was talking about like the capacity, and I can handle a lot, and I learned how to juggle a lot, and that's since a child. And I rather learn how to do it than just keep bothering Laria, Kim, or Chris to figure out the situation. Let me figure it out. Let me figure how to build all these bricks and with the house. And I think that just me, like, that's why I was just so entwined when Laria was talking about capacity. Like, oh, they're dealing with me. Like, I can't believe I missed that part of the book as well too. And
Yeah.
a part of time, I don't want to reiterate, but especially with time, I know with me, it's a certain amount of time that I'm unreachable during the day. Like, especially when I'm in the gym, that's my time. That's my mental health to decompress. I put my heart, sweat, and tears of that stress and getting out in the weight room or whatnot. I think that's my time. Like, I'm not doing nothing. I can't be involved in it. Like, I have to decompress, get myself together, and then get started with the next day. And I think y'all touched on some good topics with time, but that's how I deal with my time as well too. Like that decompression, that self awareness. You gotta learn how to treat self first before you can do anything. And I
that's
keep
right.
saying this, like, you're no good to nobody if you're empty. Like, you can't, if you're not pouring into yourself, you can't pour into anyone else. And that's
That's
and
right.
that's the and that's how I get from like the power of no. Not that I'm just telling you no, but it just no, because I can't deal with it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And again, like I said, I think the book was very practical, a very good read, a good listen. Also, I think Touré narrated the book, so if you're a fan of Audible or audio books, I think you can kind of hear his voice firsthand, and that kind of give you a little more insight. Yeah, apparently I should have listened to the book because, like I said, Laria, I missed that page. That page might have been stuck together, but again, a good
Stuck
book,
together.
Stuck
a good
together.
selection.
He didn't
We
say it the way
got
I said it, but that's what he was saying.
What you
what
told? No, 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 you told me. He said. You said what you talking about?
well, look,
He
well,
said it in
look,
a different way, but
Man, you
I was
said.
like, oh yeah,
well,
yeah,
I
okay.
like that.
I like
I
your
like that.
version.
Yeah, I like that Laria version. I like that paraphrase version from Laria. So we're gonna talk about that a little more. But so 2-8. a 7 and a 5 here
Ooh,
on
that
Four
five.
Friends in the book, but good selection. So again, if you guys haven't already, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Balanced by Mr. Toure Roberts, pick it up, check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Again, look, it didn't do that much for me, but I still think having the tools, having them accessible to you, having them available in the time of need is of the utmost importance. So I would rather have read this book before I get to a space of unbalance or
Mm-hmm.
not having it than to
Mhm.
my life is falling apart and now I'm trying to scramble and make time. And so, um, like I said, it didn't resonate as much with me personally, but we got 2 8s and a 7 over here on Four Friends. I mean, we still averaging pretty well, you know. So again, if you guys haven't already, check out the book. It's a good read, very practical, and it can help ensure your balance going
Yeah.
forward. And so it's Four Friends approved. My well, maybe three friends approved minus me. However you want to look at it, check it
He
out
just needs
and
to
pick
go
it up.
listen on Audible. That's all.
I
He'll be
need
good.
the real to give me the cliff notes again because I missed something. But
I missed that one
yeah,
too.
if you guys haven't, check it out. Balanced by Mr. Touré Roberts. This is our April
PT.
2024 selection here on Four Friends in the Book. All right, so look, we done got a little balance over here. So let's pivot a little bit. Let's transition. You know, Four Friends in the Book. We don't only
Mm-hmm.
read books.
Mm-hmm.
We like to have discussions amongst ourselves and just the community as a whole. Our Four Friends audience. We just like to talk about things that may or may not actually relate to the book. Just things that are going on in the country, the world, the nation, and yeah, one of the things right now, man, it's kind of crazy. This inflation stuff. Like
Ooh, don't get me started.
I just don't understand. I mean, everything is just so expensive now, and we haven't really touched on it. We've kind of talked about the economy. We talked about some politics and some political aspects of things that are going on in our country. But yeah, this economic is it's kind of crazy right now. So, kind of want to just talk about that. And it's not really related, but I guess could be because like, how are you balancing your checkbook? Like, how are you balancing your finances? Like, how are people actually making it right now with
Uh-huh.
the inflation that's going on within the United States, this economy that we're in. Because look, every time I go to the grocery store, I mean, if I get like 4 items, it's like that's $100. It
It
seems like
is. It's quick.
it's quickly runs up, and so kind of want to have that discussion today. Just talk about we've gotten balance on the professional and personal side of things, but yeah, how are you balancing your finances? Like, what do you guys think about this economy right now and this whole just I guess notion of like inflation and what's going on with that. And so I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions on that. Um, Coming to my brother Isaiah on this one, man. How do you feel about this whole inflation thing, man? Like the economy, just the state of our country as a whole. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I think, at this point, the economy is like, really, really inflated. Like, you're not just going to the grocery store. Every time you open the door, it's $100 just to go outside. Like, I even
Right.
feel that my car insurance, like if my car insurance go one more month, like I'm walking everywhere I gotta go now. Like that's the point of you feeling as well too. Like
Yeah,
I'm blessed in certain areas and not ripe, but I still feel those pressures. So even just with seeing other people and like their economic struggles, like you feel for that as well too. Like like you say, groceries are high. I just left Kroger myself. You like, I didn't get anything but fruit, and I spent $50. Like, I didn't buy anything. I got 2 bags in my hand. Like, but I think these economic pressures are going up. We're actually feeling it here. It's something that this administration have to get on board with. Like, what can we do? How can we get this economy to go down? Like, we feeling these pressures. I don't know whether it was from the last administration or these stimulus checks or whatever went out, but we are feeling it. Especially like if you did your taxes, you feeling it as well too. So you feeling it in every area in your life. Like you start become imbalanced. Like everybody gonna have to start reading balance after these economic pressures as well too. So I feel it as well too, my brother Chris. I understand exactly how you feel.
yeah, it's real out here. It's real out here. Uh,
Mhm.
Kim, coming to you next. I mean, what are your thoughts about just this current state of the economy, this inflation? I mean, like I said, prices have continually gone up. I mean, even Isaiah's point about this auto insurance, like yeah, I mean that's I just renewed mine and there that was a significant jump, and it's like I got the same car. Like what is this about?
Right.
It is
Good
more,
driving
Um,
yeah.
record, no accident.
yeah, no tickets, no nothing.
Well, I
Yeah,
got
but
tickets,
yeah.
but yeah.
Oh well,
Um,
okay.
That's true.
but it did
So
go
you
up.
the reason my insurance going up.
Uh-huh.
No, my health insurance went up as well. But I would say it's interesting now because when you think about we're the American dream and it's like married a house 2.5 kids and a dog, that right now is just not a reality for a lot of Americans. I think now a lot of people in their mind, even online, it's interesting to see people say stuff like, oh, I probably will never be a homeowner. Like I never grew up hearing that, but now
Right.
that type of verbiage is more common. Like I'll probably never be a homeowner, or even things like traveling or things people want to do. They just don't
Mm-hmm.
have the capacity, in the words of Laria, to do that right now. So I just think for me, I'll say it's helping me to really
Mm-hmm.
focus on what I think is important. I think this
Mm-hmm.
is a good time to say, like, okay, if like if you do want to get a house, try to find a way to buckle down, get another stream of income. Is I think if we it is negative, but it can also be a positive thing to force you to think differently, to come up with new ideas or a new stream of
Mm-hmm.
income or anything like that. So I think our look or perspective of it, um, even though it's not fun going to the store, buying a bag of chips, and like I like, when did chips get like $5? Like, when did that
I
happen?
mean,
But
really.
Right.
but I think for me, I'm trying to use it as a time to really buckle down, find my own path, because I just think now you just can't, the whole American dream and working for, like, kids coming out of college now, you can't, like, before it's like you could go to college because you get a job, like that's long gone. So I just think we have to adjust as individuals. So that's what I'm trying to do now, so I can still have my own piece of what I think the dream is for myself. So
Okay. Her own piece.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's our dreamer.
yeah.
yeah,
Thanks, Isaiah.
yeah. No, that's good. And Kim, you kind of bring up some good points. I mean, yeah, historically has always been, your parents told you, and your grandparents, you go to school and you better get you a good job and you can, have a leg up and a head start. And I think for a long time and for certain industries, like that was really
Mm-hmm.
the pathway to success.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now it's like, you know, kids are going to college and getting out and having to go back in with their parents. And we're like, even if you have a good job, it's just like because of with the interest rates being high now, just the cost of homes and just all those things, like everything that were actually worked 10 years ago, like it doesn't apply now. Like,
Mm-mm.
I've been in my home
Mm-hmm.
for a while now, but like I couldn't imagine like being trying to buy my first home now with the cost of like just houses in the housing market and also the interest rates that have, you know, gone up almost doubled within just a short period of time. I mean, just a matter of years,
8%.
interest rates have doubled. And so, and that's just that part of it. I mean, we're talking about rent for people that are out here. Like, I still don't understand how people are making it. Like, to Isaiah's point, like I'm personally in a good position where, like,
Mm-hmm.
financially, I don't have some of those concerns or worries. But like, I don't understand how the average person is still surviving with
Having.
this inflation. The cost of just living expensive. Like I said, we're talking about auto insurance, medical insurance. I mean, rent, mortgages, groceries, like all these things are just so high right now. And I just like I still don't even know. I don't know how we're making it. Like I don't know how people are surviving. It's I'm still baffled
Mm-hmm.
of like how our poverty rates haven't just gone like through the roof because it just seems so unrealistic based on how much things cost and how expensive they are right now. So I'm still in awe that this is where we are as a
Mm-hmm.
country. This is where we
Mm-hmm.
are as a nation that you know, people are having to juggle so much, or like I said, like Kim's point, to take on multiple jobs or trying to find different streams of revenue. Whereas, historically, in our parents' generation, you can have a single income and that would be sufficient for a family of four. And like them days are long gone now, and
Long gone.
it's just crazy that we're still in this state. So yeah, I don't know. coming to the real read next on that. What are your thoughts about just this just inflation as a whole, the economy, like the things that are going on? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, let's hear from you on that topic.
I agree with all of you. It's just it's ridiculous. I went to the store yesterday and got like 5 things, and the lady was like $75 and something. I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking it was gonna be 100, and I'm thinking to myself like, when did that? And like, what?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Everything is just so high, so expensive. You can't have the mentality it's us and them because you can pay for it. Because
Mm-hmm.
eventually, like Martin Luther King said, well said, not says, God rest his soul. I'm making him alive. Uh, but what affects one affects all in some capacity
That's true.
at some point. So
That's true. That's true.
it's just it's not good. I feel like a lot of people are probably in relationships because they can't afford to stay by themselves. You
Mm.
know, they probably
Ooh, that's a whole nother
been
that's
ready
a
to
whole nother
go.
topic.
And they
That's a
like, I
whole
got
nother
to
topic.
stay. Yeah, my
That might be
insurance
a
is
rant
high.
right
My
there,
this,
huh?
right,
The
right.
economy making me stay.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of people that are staying. A lot of people getting sugar
Uh-huh.
daddies and all kinds of stuff to help pay for this stuff, and that's bad.
Yeah.
But I think it's a time to really reflect, like Kim said, and go back to your
Uh-huh.
resources. What do you enjoy
Uh-huh.
doing? Get something on the side. I think it's really forcing us into entrepreneurship to have more than one
Mm-hmm.
income. To really go on and step out. A lot of us have been kind of holding back, but it's like, now you need to do something because if you don't, you're gonna be in the poorhouse because eventually you're gonna have to keep pulling from savings and not saving as much. So it's just best to go ahead on and take the jump now,
Mm-hmm.
and begin doing some outside things. So
That's
yeah,
true.
it's bad, but I just think, and going back to my Lord and Savior, I will always have because He
That's
will
right.
make sure that I'm provided
Mm-hmm.
for. But He
Mm-hmm.
gives me the wisdom and the thoughts to make sure that I have what I need by giving me innovative ideas. But it's up to me to move on it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay,
Well,
Sister
I'm
Reed.
feeling churchy
Okay.
today.
Okay. Go
It's
churchy.
Sunday.
Okay.
Feeling
hey,
Okay, Sister
churchy.
Reed. Okay.
yeah, look, she dropping all these jewels. Look, you gotta have the
Capacity.
capacity and you gotta
Her
move.
Lord,
You gotta,
her,
You got to
her,
move.
her Lord will provide.
He
yes,
will
Lord.
take
Yeah.
care of you. Yep.
That's good.
Will
That's
provide.
good. All right, guys. So we just wrapped up this book, Balanced by Mr. Toure Roberts. Got our personal and professional lives balanced. Like we can learn how to say no. We done got our capacity in check. We got all these good things from this book.
Mm-hmm.
And also just talking about this economy that we're in right now and just how crazy things are. I don't think we got a good answer for that one. Like I don't really know what we're gonna do about that. But
Mm-hmm.
look, to
Me
Laria's
either.
point, we just gotta move. You gotta move out, trust the Lord, and do what He tell you to do to get these
Mhm.
bills paid.
That's
Look in
right.
a legal way now. We ain't want nobody going to jail. We going to jail out here
I
trying to
know
move
that's
the
right.
wrong way.
Scamming and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a
All
scamming.
right. So it's time to transition into our favorite segment of the show. Wouldn't be a show without it, which we entitle The Rant. Coming from my good brother, Mr. Isaiah Tukes, like the rant man himself. This is the time of in the show we just give him 60 seconds to kind of just speak from the heart. I mean, like, we never know what he's going to talk about. We never know what the topic is. Like, he might rant about this economy right now. I don't know. We never know. But my brother, the floor is yours. 60 seconds starting now. Go.
Nakala Murray faces the possibility of losing custody of her children following a tragic incident where a police officer shot her 11-year-old son. The situation unfolded when Nakala's ex-boyfriend unexpectedly showed up to her home and assaulted her, prompting her sons to call 911. Despite him complying with the orders, the officer allegedly shot him in the chest when he arrived. Nakala filed a lawsuit against the city and the officer involved. However, the DA has now filed a motion suggesting that Nakala's actions were to blame for the shooting, accusing her of neglecting her children and potentially jeopardizing her custody rights. Yep, a woman's abusive ex shows up to her house, threatening her. Her 11-year-old son calls the police. The police officer shoots the child, and now they're dragging her to court, blaming her for the cop shooting her son. And the police officer who actually shot her son still has his job. Seeing that they wanted to punish her for being a victim of domestic violence as a scapegoat for a cop shooting her son is disappointing but not surprising. The lack of seriousness towards domestic violence is evident in the treatment of survivors, where protection orders are often being dismissed and victims are often left vulnerable. The policies and practices designed to disenfranchise Black and brown individuals are honestly more egregious and apparent than I had words for. And that's that on that.
I mean, and the fact that again, we've had so many rants, or you've had so many rants, on here on our show about just these police shootings, these
Yes.
incidents where things have taken a crazy turn, and so now you've had a loss of life, but now even having a mother facing legal issues and potentially be in jail for this as well. I mean, it's still a it still goes to show that our criminal and legal system like really needs to be like relooked at or overhauled or changed or something. I mean, like I said, this is just it's not right. So yeah, brother, we
How do you
thank you again for educating us, for informing us, and just informing the listening and viewing audience about what's going on here in our country, so that we are aware and we also can be the catalyst for change that needs to happen, to fix these things and to be the voice of reason to try to make it better. So thank you, brother. All right, so Isaiah, tell them what we have coming up for next month.
Hey guys, before we let you go, we want to let you know what our next book for next month is. It's going to be The Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Johnson. You don't want to miss it. Laria, please let the viewers know when they can tune in.
You can tune in every third Thursday on all social media outlets and different places at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
Your social media. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and if you love our podcast, please leave a review so we know that you love us because we already love you too.
Please.
So there we go.
Please. Yes.
That's good. That's good. And as always, guys, we just thank you for your time, for rocking with us here on Four Friends and a Book. Just going on this journey with us. I mean, reading books and having good conversation, and we ranting over here. And again, let's continue to read, let's learn, let's grow, and let's have a discussion right here on Four Friends and a Book. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.